There's a question that I want to ask you, and I really want you to sit with it for 1 second before you decide that you already know the answer. Are you living your life, or are you living the life that happened to you? Not the life that you chose, the one that just accumulated, the one that was shaped by your upbringing, by your trauma, by what happened to you, by what was expected of you, by decisions that you may have made from a place of fear, from lack, limitation, instead of from your true heart's desires. Because here is the uncomfortable truth: most people are living that life. And from the outside, that life probably looks okay, which is exactly what makes it so hard to name. I call it the default life. And the default life is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just simply the life that happened to you when you were not consciously choosing otherwise. The career that you fell into, the relationship that made sense at the time, the routine that formed around you, the identity that calcified before you even had the clarity to choose a different one. And what makes it so persistent is this: it often looks responsible. It looks like the sensible thing. It looks like what adults just do. But underneath it, if you get quiet enough to feel it deep down into your heart, you'll notice a very low level hum, a sense of that you're just going through the motions, that the life that you're living is somehow nearby, it's adjacent, close to it, but it's not quite it. In Latin, the word existere, which gives us the word to exist, means to stand out, to emerge. Something in every human being is always seeking to emerge. We were made as human beings for creation. Look at a child, for example. They build entire worlds before breakfast and dismantle them by lunchtime without even a second thought. Somewhere along the way, most of us have stopped doing that. Not because we lost the ability to create, but because we were conditioned out of it. We began to settle. We were taught that life is something that you navigate, not something that you create. And so we stopped creating and we started defaulting. I want to tell you where I first encountered this, because it did not come from a book. It came from the wreckage of my own default life. Back in 2008, my world completely collapsed. When my mother died, I was mugged and I was fired from my job. All this when I found myself alone in South Africa in the middle of a life that I did not recognize, with no strategy left that worked. Up until that moment, I had been a very competent navigator of the default life. I was an actor, so I knew how to perform. I knew how to meet other people's expectations. I knew how to build things that looked right on the outside. But then suddenly, none of that mattered, because the structure that had held it together for so long was completely gone. And so what I discovered in those months, slowly, painfully at times, in a way that I still feel it when I talk about it, was the practice of coming home to my heart, coming home to what is true and real for me, of following something deeper than just strategy, deeper than other people's expectations, deeper than conditioning, deeper than my own trauma, deeper than what anyone expected of me. And it worked. Not immediately, not cleanly, but it worked. And so I began to make choices from a different place. I stopped following the default, and I came back to life genuinely, back to myself, back to my real life. Not because I fixed my external circumstances, but because I reconnected with something in myself that I had been ignoring and overriding for so many years. And that experience is the foundation of everything that I teach now. Not as a method, but as a lived reality. I know what it costs to live by default. And I know what becomes possible when you stop. And so the question that I want to leave you today with is not what is wrong with your life, because there's nothing wrong with your life. It's what would become possible for you if you stop living life by default and started creating consciously from the inside out, from your heart. What is that genuine desire that you have in your heart? What would you love to create? Write it down. Even if it's just one sentence, because something shifts the moment that you name it. When you move it from a private whisper to spoken word, to a declaration. That shifts, as small as it may seem, is where creation begins. And so if this landed, if this question is bringing you deeper into your heart, if it's bringing you somewhere real inside of you, then I want to invite you to go deeper. You see, every Saturday, I write the Feeling Heart newsletter. It's where I go into these things with more space than a YouTube video allows. The sign up link is in the description below, and I would love to see you there. And next week, in the next video, I'm going to give you something very practical, the actual framework that answers the question I just asked. What does conscious creation actually require? How do you move from a default life to a consciously created life? Until then, I send you all of my love from my heart to yours.